Hi all, this is Parmeshwar Sharma from IMS over here. In this video, you are going to see me solving all the questions of, let's say, CAT Quant slot 3 over here. And I will try to, let's say, give you various perspective and multiple methods for each of the questions. If I look at this particular question, which goes like this, the rate of water flow through three pipes A, B and C are in the ratio of 4:9:36. An empty tank can be filled up completely by pipe A in 15 hours. If all the three pipes are used simultaneously to fill up this empty tank, the time in minutes, please note they want the time in minutes required to fill up the entire tank completely is nearest to. Again, the answer they want is nearest to a particular integer, and that's what we want to approximate over here. So a sum on time and work and a very standard type of, let's say, question. So we have been given the ratio of the, let's say, efficiency or rate of work done by the pipes A, B and C over here. So if I see A, B and let's say C over here, and if I look at the rate of work, or you can use the term efficiency or pipe A, B, C, the ratio have been given to you as 4, 9 and 36. Now this could mean you can say it like 4 liters per minute, 4 liters per hour, 9 liters per hour, 9 liters per minute, whatever you let's say want to call it. Suppose if I say in simple term over here, if I assume the rate of work is like in liters per hour. So pipe A basically can fill 4 liters in an hour. So 4. For B it is 9, for C it happens to be a 36. This is basically what is known to us over here. If pipe A can fill 4 liters in an hour, pipe B will fill 9. In the same type pipe, let's say C will fill 36. And ultimately, they have asked you about what time will be taken by, let's say, all the three pipes put together. So if I look at, suppose the combined efficiency of A, B and C, that will be equals to a 4 plus 9 plus 36, giving you nothing but the number 49 over here. And what has been given in case of, let's say, pipe A doing the entire task, it takes 15 hours. It takes 15 hours, let's say, for pipe A, and the question says, what about if all the three pipes, let's say, works together to fill the empty tank, how much time will it take? And the simple answer in this particular case would be, we can use the concept of work is equals to man into days, or you can say rate into time or efficiency into time, and you will get simply the answer. If I assume, suppose this is some time t, then this will be nothing but 4 into 15 will be equals to 49 into t. Assuming that I am writing t, let's say, in terms of hour, we have to finally convert that number in terms of minute. We know that 1 hour basically correspond to 60 minutes. So from here, t basically would be equals to, this is going to be 60 by 49 hours. If I want to convert this in terms of minute, let's multiply it by 60. So 60 into 60 will become 3600 over 49, this many minute, and let's say we have to find out this particular outcome over here. Now if we know that 3600 upon, let's say, if I do a 50, that basically will come out to be 72. So understand, 3600 upon, if I do a 50, this will exactly come out to be equals to, one can say, a 72 minute. But because we have a lower denominator, that means the answer definitely has to be more than 72 over here. That basically will help us to possibly eliminate option number 2 over here. So look like option number 4. Let's do the simple calculation. It has to be slightly more than 72. So if you look at, suppose 3600 upon 49, we know 49 into 7 is nothing but 7 cube or 343. So if I divide 3600 by 49, so first of all, 7 times will give you 343. So this will give you 17 here, so 170. You can also see all the options starting number happens to be a 7. So now 170, 49 into 3 basically will give you 147. 49 times of 4 will become equals to, one can say, a 196 over here. So definitely this 170 will go 3 more times. That will be 147, remaining will be 23. So it has to be 73 point something. If you tend to use calci also, you will find 73.46 approximately this many minute. And if I look at the option, since I wanted to find out the closest answer, definitely I will choose to mark option number 4, which is 73 minutes, as the answer for this simple question. So definitely it's a very straightforward question where you simply have to find out what is going to be 15 into 4 upon 49 in terms of R, and this particular question definitely is going to be a type A, and in the exam condition this question must be solved by each and let's say every serious candidate. If I look at the next question, it says that if x square plus 1 upon x square happens to be 25 and x is positive, then the value of x power 7 plus 1 upon x power 7. Now this particular question happens to be in algebra, and one can say, if you know the basic, let's say, formula of something like a square plus b square, a cube plus b cube, because these are some standard known formula to all of us. So what we can do is, we know that a plus b whole square is a square plus b square plus 2ab. So from this particular term x square plus 1 upon x square, we can easily find out the value of, let's say, x plus 1 upon x. We can also find out x power 4 plus 1 upon x power 4 as well. So let's find out certain values first of all, which I told you, x plus 1 upon x being the most important one. So over here, if you look at, if I apply suppose x plus 1 upon x whole square. So we're using the formula of a plus b whole square, as I told, a square plus b square plus 2ab. This will be equals to x square plus 1 upon x square plus 2ab. So plus 2 into x into 1 by x, and this basically will get cancelled out as x is positive. Then if I put the value of x square plus 1 upon x square as 25, so 25 plus 2 will become a 27. So we are able to find out that x plus 1 upon x whole square is equals to a 27. So if I now take the square root, so x plus 1 upon x will be equals to a root 27, basically will correspond to, one can say, a 3 root 3. Now understand, I could have taken a minus 3 root 3 also over here, but since they have told you x is positive, the term x plus 1 upon x will come out to be only positive. So I will take x plus 1 upon x as 3 root 3 and not a minus 3 root 3 over here. So we got the value of x plus 1 upon x. Now understand, to get the number x power 7 with the help of some powers of x, the easiest thing which you can do is x power 4 into x power 3 will give you x power 7. Because finding out the value of x power 4 plus 1 upon x power 4 will be easier. At the same time, x cube plus 1 upon x cube is also a very standard, let's say, result known to all of us. Please note that one can find out with the help of x power 2 into x power 5. But finding out the value of x power 5 plus 1 upon x power 5 is not going to be very straightforward. So in this particular context, what I can do is, suppose if you look at this particular part, I am going to find out x power 4 plus 1 upon x power 4. So x power 4 plus 1 upon x power 4. And if I use the formula of a square plus b square, which is a plus b whole square minus 2ab. So x square plus 1 upon x square whole square minus 2ab. And since I know that the term x square plus 1 upon x square is given to you as 25, this will become 25 square minus 2. This becomes 625 minus 2, giving you a 623. So we got the value of x power 4 plus 1 upon x power 4. Now as I told you, x power 4 when multiplied by x cube will give you x power 7. So let's find out the value of x cube plus 1 upon x cube. So x cube plus 1 upon x cube, and this thing would be equals to x plus 1 upon x whole cube minus 3 into x into 1 by x times x plus 1 upon x. And if I find out the value, the term x plus 1 upon x is known to me as 3 root 3. If I do 3 root 3 whole cube, 3 cube will become 27, root 3 cube will become 3 root 3. So 27 into 3 root 3 will become 81 root 3. Now this term basically will get cancelled out. Now 3 times of x plus 1 upon x is going to be 3 into 3 root 3, giving you a 9 root 3. So this result, if you look at 81 root 3 minus 9 root 3, will come out to be a 72 root 3. So we are able to find out the value of x power 4 plus 1 upon x power 4. We are also able to find out the value of x cube plus 1 upon x cube. And now at this particular moment, we will just see that what is going to happen if I try to multiply this two term. So if you multiply this two term, x power 4 plus 1 upon x power 4 times x cube plus 1 upon x cube, this result basically will give you x power 4 into x cube is x power 7. Then 1 upon x power 4 into 1 upon x cube will give you plus 1 upon x power 7. Now the term x power 4 into 1 by x cube will give you x. And the term 1 by x power 4 into x cube will give you a 1 by x. These are the, let's say, 4 term you get in the expansion. And our task was to find out the value of x power 7 plus 1 upon x power 7. And even this value is known to us as 3 root 3. So understand the required value, if I look at over here, so x power 7 plus 1 upon x power 7 should be equals to, I will first of all multiply the value of x power 4 plus 1 upon x power 4 with x cube plus 1 upon x cube, which you can say will be a 623 times of 72 root 3. And from that, I want to subtract the value of x plus 1 upon x. So over here, I will subtract this term, which is 3 root 3 over here. Now, in this particular context, if you see, this is going to be, I can take a root 3 because each of the options contains a root 3 term. If I take a root 3 term common, you basically get 623 times of 72 minus a 3 over here. Now, this might seems to be a long calculation. At this particular point of time, let's say people can tend to take the help of the calculator. But if I, let's say, do a bit of smart work over here, understand this particular term, if I multiply, because I can focus on for the remaining part except the root 3 term, I am going to focus on the last digit. And if you see, 623 into 72 when multiplied will give you 6 in the end. And then from that number ending in 6, if you subtract a 3, you are going to get a number ending with 3. So this part will give you 3 times a number ending with 3. And if I look at the given choices, I should choose to mark option number 2 as the required answer for this particular question. As I have told earlier, you can take the help of calculator to evaluate this multiplication, or we can, let's say, do a normal simplification also. So in this particular case, suppose if I look at 72 times of 3 will be equals to a 216. So 6 in the end, 21 being the carryover. 72 times of 2 will give you 144. 144 plus the number 21 will give you 165. So 5 in the end and 16 being the carryover. 72 times of 6 basically will give you nothing but 432. 432 plus 16 will give you 448. This is 44856 minus 3. And if I subtract a 3 from 44856, the outcome becomes 44853. This part becomes 44853 root 3. Hence, option number 2 is the required answer for this particular question. So if you look at overall, this was not an extremely difficult question. People, let's say, who know the, let's say, formula pretty well. And yes, this won't be a type A for sure. This is going to be a type B, something which you may, let's say, want to try out in the round number 2, provided, let's say, you know algebra properly and all the basic formulas are known to you over here. The next sum happens to be a mixtures allegation and it's a theta question. Let's read the sum over here. Vessel A and B contain 60 liters of alcohol and 60 liters of water. So A contains 60 liters of alcohol, whereas vessel B contains 60 liters of water respectively. A certain volume is taken out from A. So certain quantity has been taken out from A and poured into B. After stirring, the same volume, so whatever, let's say, you put from vessel A to vessel B, initially the same quantity has been withdrawn from vessel B to vessel A. Now they have given if the resultant ratio of the alcohol and water in A is 15:4, then the volume in liter initially taken out from A is how much? So again, it's a question which you, let's say, have to do it in a proper manner. So because they have given a theta question, and for all the theta question in quant, let's say in cat quant, the outcome basically has to be a whole number. So ultimately the quantity withdrawn from, let's say, vessel A has to be a proper whole number over here. So I will, let's say, do two methods. One basically would be a normal conventional method to arrive at the answer, and the second basically would be to take the help of, let's say, calculator over here. So understand, if I look at the first method and if I write down, suppose vessel A, vessel B, and suppose if I write down here alcohol and let's say water, alcohol and let's say water. So initially, if I look at initially, the vessel A and vessel B both contain 60 liter. So if I look at initial 60 liters of alcohol, 0 water in, let's say, vessel A, whereas in vessel B, entire 60 basically is water and 0 basically is going to be your, let's say, alcohol in vessel B over here. Now let me assume that the initial, let's say, a certain volume, which you can say is suppose X liter. So I am taking out X liter, let's say, putting from vessel A to vessel B over here. Now in the initial, entire X liter is going to be alcohol. So when you transfer, let's say, X liter, once you transfer X liter, then what is going to happen is in vessel A, the quantity of alcohol will go down by X, water will remain 0, and whatever X was, let's say, moved from vessel A to vessel B, that entire X is alcohol. So the quantity of alcohol basically in vessel B will become X, and water basically will remain nothing but 60 over here. This part is very, very straightforward. Understand, at every point of time, since the transfer is happening, one can say between vessel A and vessel B, the total volume has to be 120 liter all the time. Also, the total quantity of alcohol in, let's say, vessel A and vessel B together also need to be 60. At the same time, total volume of, let's say, water in vessel A and vessel B also need to be equal to 60 over here. So now, at this particular point of time, please note that vessel A and vessel B are not holding exactly 60 liter. Vessel A has less than 60 liter because some part was moved from vessel A to vessel B, whereas vessel B contains more than 60 liters. Now, what is happening then? Finally, the same quantity have been, let's say, moved from vessel B to vessel A. So understand, since the ratio of the alcohol to water in vessel B happened to be X is to 60, and if I, let's say, take out X liter from vessel B, how much, let's say, alcohol is going to be withdrawn from, let's say, vessel B? And the answer basically would be X divided by X plus 60 times of X. This is going to be the quantity of alcohol moved from vessel B to vessel A. And what can I say about the quantity of water moved from, let's say, vessel B to vessel A? It must be 60 by X plus 60 times of X over here. So what is going to happen if I look at what is going to be the quantity of alcohol now, and the answer basically would be 60 minus X plus this part is the quantity of alcohol moved from vessel B to vessel A, and that will be nothing but X square by X plus 60, or I can say 60 plus X. And what can I say about the quantity of water? That will be nothing but 60X divided by 60 plus X. Now please note, I can, let's say, choose to find out the quantity of alcohol in vessel B also at this particular point of time, but there's no need as such. As I told you, this part must be equal to 60 minus this number, and this part basically would be 60 minus this number. We know that at this particular point of time, the required ratio of the alcohol to water in vessel number B happened to be 15:4. So this ratio and this ratio are in, let's say, 15:4 over here. So if I look at, suppose, this particular part, if I simplify this, so 60 minus X, so 60 minus X plus a X square upon 60 plus X divided by 60X upon 60 plus x, this should be equals to a 15 by 4. And now on simplification, we can easily find out the value of, let's say, x from here. So now if you see, if you cross multiply the numerator, you will get 60 plus x into 60 minus x will become equal to a 60 square minus x square, because a plus b into a minus b is equals to a square minus b square. This part will become 60 square minus x square plus x square whole divided by 60 plus x. And what about the denominator? 60x upon 60 plus x. Now this term gets cancelled out. This thing is equals to a 15 by 4 as given to you in the question. Now minus x square plus x square get cancelled out. So this part becomes very simple now, and it becomes 3600 divided by 60x, and this must be equals to a 15 by 4. Let's simplify this. So 60 60s are 15 4s are. So we are getting 4 by x is equals to 1 by 4. If I cross multiply, 4 into 4 become equal to 16. And what was x? X was the quantity which was moved initially from, let's say, vessel A to vessel B, and that is what has been asked in the question. So 16 liter is the required answer, hence one can put 16 over here in this question to mark as a theta question. Now if I look at one more method to solve this particular question, understand that initial total quantity of vessel A and vessel B was 60. After the first transfer, the total quantity of vessel A was changed to from 60, which is less than 60, and let's say for vessel B also it became more than 60. But again, once you transfer, let's say, the same quantity from vessel B to vessel A, total quantity of vessel, let's say, A and vessel B becomes 60 each. So what they have given finally, the required ratio of alcohol to water happens to be nothing but 15:4, and the total basically was 60. So I will take the help of, let's say, calculator, and if I look at how much is going to be your quantity of alcohol over here, and I can find out 15 divided by 19 into 60, and that will give you 47.368. And then I can easily find out, because the remaining part basically has to be your water, that will come out to be 12.631 approximately, or you can take 12.632. This number doesn't look nice. As I told that the total volume of the alcohol has to be 60 liters across vessel A plus vessel B put together. So if I say out of 60, if 47.6368 belongs to vessel A, then the quantity of, let's say, alcohol in vessel B must be nothing but remaining 12.638. And what about the quantity of water? That must be equals to 47.368 over here. Now understand, after the initial transfer over here, your volume of water will remain 60. Now this is what I wish to calculate over here. Now in this particular case, suppose as I told you, if I have transferred x liter from vessel A to vessel B, then this x basically will become nothing but the quantity of alcohol in vessel B over here. Now we can say that the ratio over here, this x and 60 ratio, will be same as the ratio of alcohol after we transfer from vessel B to vessel A. If I now do a cross multiplication over here, one can say x by 60 should be equals to a 12.638 divided by 12.632, not 8. And if I simplify this, if I take the help of calci on cross multiplication, you will find out that the required value of x come out to be 16. And if this part was 16, it simply means that 16 liters was transferred from vessel A to vessel B initially, and that indeed was my question. The next sum happens to be on functions, and it goes like this. If f of x happens to be x square plus 3x times x square plus 3x plus 2. So one key thing, if you observe, the second bracket basically happens to be nothing but 2 more than the first bracket over here. Then sum of all real roots. Again, this part is also very important. The value of x has to be real over here of the equation root of f of x plus 1 to be equals to a 9701. So first of all, in this particular case, what I can do is, if I take this term x square plus 3x to be a, then the second bracket will become a plus 2. So now if I look at my term f of x, I can say it is going to be a times a plus 2. A times a plus 2 over here. And at this particular point of time, what you can possibly say is that this term, which is root of f of x, as I know, is a into a plus 2 plus 1 will be equals to a 9701. Now, one thing one can also observe, that you can notice that the term a square plus 2a plus 1, this part, if you look at carefully, will become a square plus 2a plus 1, and that will be equals to, one can say, a plus 1 whole square will be equals to a plus 1 whole square. So over here we can say root of a plus 1 whole square is equals to a 9701. So this value, if you look at, people will say will come out to be a plus minus of a plus 1, and that will be equals to a 9701. So from there we can find out two values of a. Fine, that is correct, but let's go in a different direction. Suppose if I do a square, if I, let's say, square both sides, then we can say you will get a into a plus 2 plus 1 to be equals to 9701 square. Let's take the term on that side, and you are going to find out 9701 square minus 1, which I can say is minus 1 square. So you will see that a into a plus 2 will be equals to a 9701 minus 1. This part basically would be nothing but I can use a square minus b square property, a plus b into a minus b, and that will give you 9702 into 9700. This is what you are going to get. And as we know that a into a plus 2, this number basically is 2 more than the first bracket, which is a plus 1. So what is the possible option? So in this particular case, I can write them in this manner: a into a plus 2 to be 9700 into 9702, where 9702 happens to be 2 more than 9700. And the other thing which you can say is minus 9702 times of minus 9700. So a into b is same as saying a minus a into minus b as well. So here in this particular case, minus 9700 happens to be 2 more than minus 9702. So if I do a comparison, one can say the value of a would be either a 9700 or will be a minus 9702 over here. And then since your a was nothing but x square plus 3x, you will take x square plus 3x to be equals to a 9700 or a minus 9702. Then this will give you two possible quadratic. So one basically would be x square plus 3x minus 9700 equals to 0. And the second one basically would be x square plus 3x plus 9702 is equals to 0. And that's where I am talking about the possible mistake over here, because we have got two quadratic, and if I look at the sum of the root is coming out to be minus 3. For the second equation, the sum came out to be equals to a minus 3. So one can say sum of all the possible values of x come out to be nothing but negative 6. And many of you must have marked option number 2 as the answer. But that is going to make a mistake. And what kind of mistake? Because at this point of time, we have totally, let's say, not focused on this part, which is the roots need to be real. And for the roots to be real, we know that the condition has to be discriminant, the delta has to be a positive quantity, or one can say in a worst possible case, it has to be a non-negative quantity. So if you look at over here, the required value of delta, b square minus 4ac, would be like this. Which is clearly positive. Perfectly fine. But for the second quadratic, your delta would be 3 square minus 4 into 1 into 9702, and this thing basically is less than 0. So for the second quadratic, one can say the required root will come out to be imaginary, and since I am only interested in the real root, this second quadratic can be ruled out. And for this quadratic, the required sum of the root, which is we know for ax square plus bx plus c equal to 0, the required sum is minus of b by a. So we get the required sum of the roots, rather real root, to be equals to a negative 3. So for this particular question, the required answer would be a negative 3 and not a negative 6. So I believe many of you might have tried this particular question, and the accuracy will take a hit in this particular sum, because if someone, let's say, don't look at those keyword real root, which are going to be playing a very, very important role, there could be a chance of a -1 and not a +3 for this question. If I look at the other approach, as I have discussed earlier, that we could have taken them in this particular format. So after taking this x square plus 3x as a, the second bracketed term will become a plus 2. So the required equation was root of f of x plus 1 is equals to 9701. So root of the term f of x basically will become a into a plus 2. That become a square plus 2a plus 1. And this thing is equals to a 9701. Now, if you look at this particular term, a square plus 2a plus 1 simply become a plus 1 whole square is equals to a 9701. And root of a plus 1 whole square is nothing but mod of a plus 1 is 9701. So from this, one can say the term a plus 1 should be equals to either a 9701 or a minus 9701. And then the value of a will be equals to 9701 minus 1 will give you a 9700. And in this particular case, your value of a will be minus 9701 minus 1 will be a negative 9702. This is also one of the method to find out the values of a. And accordingly, we are again going to put, since a was x square plus 3x equal to a 9700, x square plus 3x is also equals to a minus 9702. If I write them like this, you will find out that for the first quadratic, delta was positive, real root, perfectly fine. For the second quadratic, the delta came out to be negative, imaginary roots, not real roots. So the second one need to be ruled out. And for this quadratic, since we have only two real root, the required sum of the root will come out to be equals to a -3. So I should choose to mark option number 3 over here. The next sum happens to be slightly lengthy. Let's first of all read the sum, and then let's say we can remove the distorted noise, let's say, from this particular question. The monthly sales of a product from January to April, so 4 months, Jan, Feb, March, April, were 120, 135, 150 and 165 units respectively. The cost price of the product was 240 per unit, and the fixed mark price was used for the product in all the 4 months. So we have a constant mark price, let's say, in the month of Jan, Feb, March and April. Then they are saying further the discount of 20%, 10%, 5% were given on the mark price per unit in the month of January, February and March respectively, whereas no discount was offered in the month of April. If the total profit January, February, March, April came out to be 1,38,825, then the mark price per unit in rupee was how much? So a pretty lengthy question over here. Now, one thing which you can do to simplify the calculation basically would be, if I carefully look at the quantity, let's say, sold, one can say in the month of Jan, Feb, March, April were 120, 135, 150 and 165. Each of these numbers are, one can say, divisible by 15. 15 into 8, 15 times of 9, 15 times of 10, 15 times of 11. So what I will do is, in this particular context, I am going to, let's say, take the quantity as 120 upon 15, 135 upon 15 to make my life simple. But understand, if I change those numbers, so if I write here January, February, March and let's say April, and if I look at the quantity sold, if I divide them by 15, this will be 8, 9, 10 and 11. This will, let's say, make my, let's say, calculation slightly on the easier side. But please note, since I'm, let's say, dividing each of the quantity by, let's say, 15, my total profit should also be, I should divide by 15. So accordingly, the scaled profit, if I divide this number by 15, you will get 15 nines happens to be a 135, so 3 will remain. I get 38. 15 times of 2 will give you 30, so 8 will remain. 82. 15 fives will be a 75, so 7 will remain. 75. 15 fives become 75. So my scaled profit after I reduce the quantity sold in the month of Jan, Feb, March, April to 8, 9, 10, 11 came out to be a 9255. Now what is known, we have a fixed mark price, let's say, kept for each of the 4 months. I'm just writing here the marked price was suppose X, 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 X. I could have avoided this particular line, but I kept it. Now in the month of January, you have offered a discount 20%. So a 20% discount in the month of Jan, 10% discount in the month of Feb, 5% discount in the month of, let's say, March, and 0% discount in the month of April. Now since total profit is given to you, we can find out total SP and total CP also over here, and then we can do total SP minus total CP to give you the total profit over here, which I will equate to the number 9255. And the objective is to find out the value of X, or the mark price per unit over here. Again, the options are fairly integer numbers. Now understand, to find out selling price, if I offer a discount of 20% on something, I will be selling at 80% of that number. So required SP per unit in the month of Jan will become 0.8x. In the month of February, a 10% discount was given. It simply means I must be selling at 90% of mark price. So 0.9 times of x. In the month of March, if I gave a 5% discount, I must be selling at 95% of mark price, or one can say 0.95 times of x. And in the month of April, no discount was given. That simply means MP and SP were same in the month of April. So what about if you look at the total, let's say, revenue earned in the month of, let's say, January, it must be 8 into total revenue for each month will be 8 into 0.8, giving you a 6.4x. 9 into 0.9 will become a 8.1x. 10 times of, let's say, 0.95x give you a 9.5x, and this part simply become equals to 11x. If you add them up, 6.4 plus, let's say, 8.1, this part simply become equals to a 14.5. 14.5 plus 19.5 will give you a 24x. 24x plus 11x will become a 35x. The total, let's say, revenue earned across the 4 months happens to be a 35x. What about the total cost price? The total, let's say, cost price, if I look at total units sold, 8 plus 9 plus 10 plus 11, and this basically will become equals to, one can say, a 38. So total quantity for the 4 months put together becomes equals to a 38, and the cost price per unit was equals to a 240. So what I can say is that total selling price should have been equals to the total cost price plus the profit. Let's simplify this. So one can say 35x should be equals to the total CP must be equals to 240 into 38 plus the number 9255. Let us simplify this calculation. So please note, one can choose to take the help of calci also over here. So a 0 in the end. 24 8s happens to be a 192. So 2 carry 19. 24 3s is 72. 72 plus 19 becomes a 9120. So 9120 plus a 9255. 35x will be equals to 20 plus 55 will become 75, and 91 plus 92 will become a 183. So 18375 is equals to 35x. Again, you can take the help of calci, or you can simply divide 18375 by 35 to get the required answer. So the required value of x must be equals to a 18375 divided by 35. Definitely both this number should be divisible by both 5 as well as 7. Suppose if I take by 7 first, so 7 5s are 7 2s is 14, so 43 will remain. 7 6 will be 42, so 1 will remain. 17 2s are 14, 3 will remain. 35 5 times. And then if I further divide this 2625 by 5, so 5 5s are 25, 1 will remain. 12, 2 times 10, 25 will remain, so 525. So the required value of x came out to be 525, and hence one can say the required answer over here must be option number 4. The next sum basically happened to be on the concept of, one can say, a Venn diagram, and again not a very straightforward question. It says that in a class of 150 students, 75 students chose physics, 111 students chose mathematics, and 40 students chose chemistry. All students chose at least one of the 3 subjects, and then they are saying at least one student chose all the 3 subjects over here. Let us understand what need to be done in this particular case. So first of all, if I read the first line, I can say, if I make my rough Venn diagram with total of 150 student, 75 chose physics, so we have physics, math and chemistry. So for physics we have 75, for math we have 111, and for chemistry we have 40 students. And they have told you all students chose at least one of the 3 subjects. That simply means there was none of the students who chose neither, let's say, math nor physics nor chemistry. The outside part basically is 0. And at least one student chose all the 3 subjects. So for example, if I have taken x number of people have taken all the 3 subjects, math, physics, chemistry, then this x they are saying is going to be positive, is going to be a positive integer. It's going to be at least 1. So this has to be minimum 1. So 1, 2, 3 and so on. Then they are saying the number of students who chose both physics and chemistry. So both physics and chemistry will refer to this portion, is equal to the number of students who chose chemistry and mathematics. So sum of this two. What does that mean? Because in this particular part, x number of people are common to both. It simply means the number of people who have chosen only chemistry and math is same as the number of people who opted for only chemistry and physics. Suppose if I take this variable as y and a y over here. That's why if you look at total of math and chemistry would be same as total of, let's say, physics and chemistry over here. And this, the same number, so this x plus y is half. So we have to just decode this and maybe, let's say, represent them in terms of a variable. And this is half the number of students who chose both physics and mathematics. So if I take this number right now as z, it must be half of z plus x. If I cross multiply, you will get 2x plus 2y is z plus x, and that simply means you will get z to be equals to, one can say, a 2y plus x. So this z part in, let's say, keeping only 2 variables so far will be equals to a 2y plus x over here. This much is what we are able to say with this statement. And then finally, if you look at what is the objective? Objective is again to maximize and minimize. So again, this is not a very straightforward question. If you know that x has to be positive, and the question says over here, the maximum possible number of students who chose physics but not mathematics. So we want to maximize this portion, which I am highlighting here. This part has to be maximized, which has to be part of the physics circle but not part of the chemistry circle. In other words, we want to maximize the number of people who took only physics, and let's say people who took, let's say, only physics and chemistry. This part has to be maximized over here. So now, if you, let's say, want to maximize this, it simply means I want to minimize this particular part. the term 2y plus x and x over here. So if I want to look at this particular question can be converted to, I want to minimize this term which is 2y plus x giving you a 2 times of, let's say, x plus y. This part need to be minimized. Now understand, we have to find out the complement of this. So the required answer which I am looking for need to be equals to, one can say, total of this is 75, out of which you can say twice of x plus y. People have also taken mathematics. So this is what I want to evaluate. Now if you, let's say, do some number crunching, understand 75 being an odd number. The term 2 times of x plus y, where x and y has to be some proper integer terms, this is going to be even. Now odd minus even is going to be nothing but giving you an odd quantity, and that help you to possibly eliminate some of the option. Your answer can't be option number 2, can't be option number 3, it has to be an odd number. So either option number 1 or option number 3 has to be the answer. That much is what you can say at this particular point of time. Now how do I minimize this particular term, as I told you, twice of x plus y? So for that we can just, let's say, find out some of the other equation. So in this particular context, this term you can say would be equals to a 1 minus, if you look at this sum, minus 3y minus 2x. This particular part will be equals to a 40 minus 2y minus x. So the people who have taken only math will come out to be 1 minus 3y minus 2x, and the number of people who took only chemistry came out to be 40 minus 2y minus x. Let's take the sum of these three numbers, because this 3 total, I will get one equation involving x and y. So I will get a 1 minus 3y minus 2x plus y plus 40 minus 2y minus x, and this thing should be equals to a 150 minus 75, giving you a 75. So from this I can easily, let's say, find out one equation. So 1 plus 40 will become 151. If I look at the term involving y, minus 3y plus y will become a minus 2y, minus 2y minus 2y will become a minus 4y. Then if I look at the x term, minus 2x minus x will become a minus 3x is equal to a 75. So I get a simple equation which you can say is going to be 4y plus 3x to be equal to 151 minus 75, giving you a 76. Once I got this, what I can do is, since my objective is to minimize the term twice of x plus y, in other words, I want to minimize the term x plus y. This need to be as low as possible. Over here, if you look at, if I write this particular term as y plus 3y plus 3x, so I can take 3 common, and this thing should be equal to a 76. Now if this term is, you can say, I want to minimize, then one can very much say the term y need to be maximized. So over here, if you look at the equations, I want to minimize x plus y, but I want to maximize the term, one can say, y over here. So what I will do is, let's say we can find out, so we can find out y in terms of x. So we understood that y need to be maximized. So the term 4y is equals to 76 minus 3x. So the term y would be equals to, if I divide by 4, I will get 76 by 4 is 19 minus 3x by 4. Now understand, if I, as I told you, if I want to maximize y, if I want to maximize the value of y, then for that x need to be minimum. X need to be minimum. So in this particular context, since your x and y are proper positive integer, since x is more than 1, I can't put x to be equals to 0. And since I want y also to be an integer, I want the value of x to be a multiple of 4. So I will put the value of x minimum to be 4, and that basically would mean this part will become 19 minus 3, giving you 16. So x minimum becomes 4, y maximum will become equal to a 16. So as you can see over here, the term, this will give you 75 minus 2 times of x plus y will become 20. So least value of x plus y become equals to a 20. So over here 75 minus 40 will give you a 35. So 35 is the required answer for this particular question. So again, if you see a Venn diagram, it might look, let's say, slightly straightforward earlier, but again they brought the element of maxima and minima, and people can very much get confused over here. So again, I would say it should not be a sum which you possibly want to try in the, let's say, initial 20-25 minute. Definitely, if you don't say a type C, definitely it has to be a type B or worse, but not a type A type of question. The next sum happens to be on sequence and series, and the sum goes like this. In an AP, the sum of the 4th, 7th and the 10th term is 99, and the sum of the first 14 term happens to be 497. Objective is to find out the sum of the first 5 terms of the AP. And this happens to be a theta question, not a difficult question over here. Understand what they have given: the 4th term, 7th term and the 10th term of AP. The sum basically happened to be equals to, one can say, a 99 is my first statement which is going to help me find out the answer. Now understand the 4th term, 7th term and let's say 10th term are equidistant term in a AP, and these are also going to form a AP. So the 4th term, 7th term and the 10th term of an APs are also going to form a AP with a common difference of 3D, if I assume the normal AP basically had a common difference of D over here. So this total 4th term plus 7th term plus let's say 10th term, since this also follows the AP, we know that sum of an n terms of an AP is equal to number of term into middle term. In this case T4, T7, T10, the middle term basically happened to be the 7th term. So I can say 3 times of T7 will be equals to a 99, and that simply mean your 7th term is nothing but equals to a 33. So you can get the value of, let's say, A plus 6D is equals to 33, where A is the first term of the original AP and D was my normal common difference. So we got one equation which is A plus 6D giving you a 33. Now what after that? They have given you sum of the first 14 terms. So the sum of the first 14 terms is equals to 497. Now what is the formula known to us about sum of the n terms of an AP? N by 2 into 2A plus n minus 1 times of D. This is our standard formula. You have also n by 2 into first term plus last term. You can do multiple ways. So 2A plus n minus 1 times of D. If I use that, this will be 14 by 2 times 2A plus 14 minus 1 will become 13D is 497. Let's simplify this. So 2 times of 7 is 14. 7 times of 71 will give you 497. So we got one more equation which is 2A plus 13D is equals to a 71. We also have one equation A plus 6D is 33. So now I can simply find out the value of A and D from this. So if I suppose double this equation, A plus 6D as 33, one get 2A plus 12D as 66. And then if I subtract, I can find out D as 5. If D came out to be equals to 5, I can easily find out the value of A. So A plus 6D will become 30. So from this A will become equals to 3. So we are able to find out the value of A. We are able to find out the value of D over here. And the question says sum of the first 5 terms. Now sum of the first 5 terms, you can, let's say, find it multiple manners. You can again use the same formula over here like this: n by 2 times of 2A plus 5 minus 1 into D, which you can say is 5. So 5 by 2 times of twice of A is 6 plus 4D. The term 4D basically will become 4 into 5, which is 20. And this thing, if you simplify, 5 by 2 times of 26 will be 5 times of 13, giving you a 65 as the required answer over here. Now the same sum of the first 5 term I could also have found out with the help of this. So over here, sum of the first 5 term, if you look at the 5 term, the middle term happens to be the 3rd term. So it must be 5 times of T3. Now understand, if your first term is 3, common difference is 5, so second term has to be 8, the third term has to be a 13. So the sum of the first 5 term has to be 5 times of T3. So 5 times of 13 simply become equal to 65. Hence 65 is the answer for this question. Let's look at one more way over here. Since it is given that for the AP, the sum of the 4th term, 7th term and let's say 10th term is given to you as 99, which you can clearly see that because the 4th, 7th and the 10th term are equidistant term, they also follow the AP. The required sum over here must be nothing but 3 times of T7, giving you a 99. It simply means the 7th term is equals to, one can say, 33 over here. So we can easily find out the sum of the 13th term, because for 13th term, 7th term is the middle term. So S13 should be equals to number of term, which is 13, times of central term, middle term, which happens to be nothing but T7. So 13 times of 33 is what I wish to evaluate. This will come out to be nothing but a 390 plus 39, giving you a 429. Now since we know sum of 13 term is 429, we also know sum of the first 14 term is a 497. So we can easily find out that your 14th term, which has to be sum of the first 14 term minus sum of the first 13 term, if you do a subtraction over here, this required result will come out to be nothing but a 68. So 14th term come out to be a 68. Your 7th term came out to be a 33 over here. The required difference between these two will be 7 times of D. This will come out to be a 35. So if 7D is 35, your D become equals to 5. That is also something which you can possibly do. Again, it is slightly out of the box thinking. Now once I got D to be equals to 5 and this term is known to me as 33, the 4th term can be easily found out because the gap between the 4th term and the 7th term has to be a gap of 3D. 3D will be equals to a 15. So this term basically would be 15 less, giving you 18. And since I found out that D is coming out to be 5, your 3rd term will be 5 less than 18, giving you 13. And since the objective is to find out the sum of the first 5 term, which has to be 5 times of T3, it must be 5 times of 13, giving you a 65. That is the required answer for this particular question. The next sum happens to be on logarithm, and again we have to be very careful in all these kinds of problem. It says sum of all possible real values of x. Again, very important term, real values and not imaginary values, for which log of x square minus 9 to the base x minus 3 is equals to log of x plus 1 to the base x minus 3 plus 2. So what we can do in this particular context, understand first of all, if I let's say bring the two log term on the same side, and then I can apply that log of m minus log of n will be equals to log of m by n. So over here, if I represent the first x square minus 9 base x minus 3 minus log of x plus 1 and the base is x minus 3, this is equals to a 2 over here. Now if I apply that basic log formula, then as I told you, log m minus log n is log of m by n. Log of x square minus 9 divided by x plus 1, base is x minus 3, and this thing is equals to 2. And now we can use the definition of logarithm. If I say log of something like a to the base b is equals to n, then it simply means a must be equals to a b power n. A must be equals to a b power n. So this, if I simplify, you should say x square minus 9 over x plus 1. This should be equals to x minus 3 whole square. Now understand, in this particular case, the value of x definitely has to be more than 3. X should not be equal to 3, otherwise the base will become equal to 0. So here it's a clear thing that the value of x should not be equals to 3 for the equation to be valid over here. If x is not equals to 3 and the term x square minus 9 is simply x square minus 3 square, so x plus 3 into x minus 3. So one of the term basically can be easily cancelled as x should not be equals to a 3 over here. And then if I cross multiply, you will get x plus 3 to be equals to x minus 3 into x plus 1 will become x square minus 3x plus x becomes a minus 2x minus 3, and then I get a quadratic, so x square minus 3x minus 6 equals to 0. So we have got this quadratic, and again we can say, okay, this delta, if I look at, will come out to be equals to a b square minus 4ac, and this will be 9 plus 24 giving you a 33. So delta become equals to 33, which is delta is positive. So both the values of basically x will come out to be real numbers, and we can say for this quadratic the required sum of the roots should be equals to a minus of b by a giving you a 3. And many of us again will be tempted to choose 3, which is option number 2, as the answer for this particular question. But what is the possible drawback? Understand, at none of the places your term should be, as I told you, the value of x has to be not equals to 3, and the value of, let's say, x has to be more than 3, because the base should not become negative as well. So x has to be more than 3 is also going to be very, very important criteria, not just the real values over here. So now, if you, let's say, tend to find out the value of this, we can say the required value of x, if I use the formula, will be a 3 plus minus under root delta, which is b square minus 4ac, as we have seen was 33, divide by 2. So we got two values of x, both of them are real. So one is 3 plus root 33 by 2, and the other is 3 minus root 33 divided by 2. If you look at this particular term, the term root 33, one can say, is between 5 and 6. So this quantity will be 3 minus 5 point something. So this quantity basically means the value of x is negative. And this value you can clearly see is going to be above 4, is definitely more than 3 over here. That means you only have one real value of x, which is 3 plus root 33 whole divided by 2. You should discard this value because x come out to be negative. If x comes out to be negative, the base of log will become negative. And in case of log, the base should be, let's say, a non-negative quantity. Should not be 0, should not be negative, can't be equals to 1 either over here. So x should not be equals to 3, x should not be equals to 4 also should have been the condition. So please note, option number 2 is not the answer. The required value of x, we only get one value of x, which is 3 plus root 33 divided by 2. Hence option number 1 is the answer. So again, a tricky question where many of you, let's say, might know the property, might have followed the entire process, but may have ended up marking a wrong answer. So many of you must have chosen option number 2, but the right answer will be option number 1. Again, a tricky question, not a type A, but one need to be very, very careful, especially in the questions of logarithm, where the condition regarding base, the number has to be positive, etc. need to keep in mind throughout. The next sum happens to be again a tricky question, and many of you might have found it challenging in the exam condition. Let us look at the approach to solve this particular question. The sum of all the digit of the number, and the tricky part is 10 power 50 plus 10 power 25 minus, let's say, a 123 over here. So what need to be done? This is not a story being given over here, how to start. This is going to, let's say, trouble many of the student over here. What is going to be the right approach? The first thing, again, we can possibly try to eliminate couple of options, and then let's say people, let's say, who likes gambling, they may want to take their chances by attempting marking one of the options over here. Because moment suppose you read sum of the digit kind of scenario, what concept you can relate in numbers? And the simple answer would be sum of the digit we must have associated in the context of divisibility rule of 3 and 9. So in this particular context, if I look at suppose the number 10 power 50 plus 10 power 25 minus a 123 over here. And what I will do in this particular context is I am simply going to find out the remainder by the number 9. And we know that it's going to be very straightforward. If you suppose divide the number 10 by 9, it will give you 1 as a remainder. So now 1 power 50 will simply give you 1 as a remainder. In the second term, which is 10 power 25, again 10 if you divide by 9 will give you 1 remainder. And 1 power 25 if I divide by 9 will again give you 1 remainder. And then finally, if I look at the number 123, if I divide 123 by 9, you get basically 6 as a remainder. So what we have something like a 1 plus 1, which is 2, 2 minus 6. Now understand, it's not exactly a 2 minus 6 over here, because if this part is going to be significantly higher, to find 1 plus 1, 2, 2 minus 6 will become equals to a negative 4. And what does a negative 4 implies? Negative 4 implies, because if I want to convert this into a positive remainder, I need to add my divisor. So add your 9 and that will give you 5 as a remainder. So what I want is the required expression. If you find out the sum of the digit and then if you divide by 9, you should again find out 5 as the remainder. Let's see whether this is going to help us or not. If I look at the number 324, the sum basically become equal to 9. But we want the eventual sum of the digit to come out to be 5. Option number 1 is out. 212, the sum 2 plus 1 plus 2 becomes 5. So it can be a possible answer. The third one, 255, the sum becomes 2 plus 5 is 12, which will give you a 3 remainder if I divide by 9. I want a remainder of 5, so option number 3 also goes out. And if I look at suppose the fourth one, which is a 221, the sum become equals to 5. So at this particular point of time, if I apply basically rule of 3 or maybe a rule of let's say 9 over here, in that case 2 of the options can be easily ruled out. And now one can say the answer has to be either option number 2 or option number 4 over here. So people who want to take a risk, they can let's say mark one of the answer. Again, it's going to be a big risk because 212 and 221 differs by a small quantity 9. So you need to be very careful. So let's see what need to be exactly done over here. Now the issue is the number 10 power 25 is a huge number, 1 followed by 25 zeros. The number 10 power 50 also happens to be a big number, 1 followed by 50 zeros and so on. So what to do? And the simple answer would be try to observe some pattern. So first of all, I am only going to be concerned about the outcome of 10 power 25 minus 123. And for that, what I will do is I will first of all take a simple situation like small numbers, 10 cube minus 123, which basically mean 1000 minus 123, giving you a 877. So 10 cube minus let's say 123, which as I told you is 1000 minus 123, gave you 877 over here. Fine. If I do 10 power 4 minus 123, which is 10,000 minus 123, and this time the outcome basically would be equals to, if you simplify, will come out to be 9877. Then if I do 10 power 5 minus 123, 3, 4, 5, you will get 99,877. So now the pattern basically is very clear. In case of 10 cube minus 123, we have got 877 in the end. In case of 10 power 4 minus 123, we got 877 in the end, but we also got a 9 on the left side. In case of 10 power 5, we got 2 9s and then we got the number 877. So it's going to be very clear if I now ask you to look for the pattern in 10 power 25 minus 123. In case of 10 power 4, we had only 1 9. In case of 10 power 5, we had 2 9. So definitely in case of 10 power 6, I must have got 3 9s. So in this particular case, 10 power 25 minus 123, I should have got 22 nines, 3 less than the power. So 9, 9, 9, I can say 22 times. And definitely my last 3 has to be a 8, 7, 7 over here. So it's going to be very, very clear. We are going to add 9, 9, 9, 22 times and then 8, 7, 7. And then we have to add the number 10 power 50 to it, which basically means 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, total of 0, how many? 50 zeros. And this result is coming out to be something like a 9, 9, 9, 22 times and then 8, 7, 7. If I add them up, for sure, if you look at this particular outcome, the required sum of the digit will come out to be 9 coming 22 times, then 8 plus 7 plus 7. This becomes 198 plus 8 plus 7 plus 7, and this becomes a 22. This becomes 220. And you also get one more one because of 10 power 50 impact. So this particular number exactly will come out to be 1. Then if you look at 9, 9, 9, 22 times 877, these are your, if you look at this part, came out to be 220, and this will give you another 1, 1, one more one. That simply means the required sum of the digit will come out to be a 220 plus 1, giving you 221. Hence, option number 4 is the required answer for this question. So again, not a very, very straightforward question. As I told, if you applied possibly divisibility rule of 3 and 9, you might be able to eliminate 2 options, and then you will be left with 2 more options. And then if you want to take a risk, you can take one of them and maybe, let's say, try your luck and take a leap of faith over here. If I look at the next sum, it says that in a school with 15 students, each student chooses any one of the stream out of science, arts and commerce by paying a fee of rupee 1100 for science, 1000 for arts and 800 for commerce, because they have given the word respectively. The total fee paid by all the student is 15,50,000. If the number of science student is not more than the number of art student, that's a very, very important part. What does that mean? The number of science student are not more than the number of art student. That means the max number of science student can be equal to the number of art student. Then the maximum possible number of science student in the school is how much? So again, I will show you, let's say, 2 methods to solve this particular question. The one, let's say, with the help of equation, which you can say is the normal, conventional and the traditional approach. So what do we have? Let's say basically we have 3, let's say, streams. One can say which is your science. Then you have arts and you have, let's say, commerce. And they've given the, let's say, fee paid by, let's say, each student is 1100 for science. For art, that number happens to be 1000, and for commerce, that number happens to be 800. Now we can take certain variables. For example, if I represent S number of people have taken science stream, A number of people have taken art stream, and C number of people have taken, let's say, commerce stream. So if I have taken S, A and C as the variable, then as per the first line, total student were 1500, where everyone have taken exactly one stream out of science, arts and commerce. So my first equation will translate to, one can say your S plus A plus C will be equals to a 1500. That's my first equation. And then they told you total fee paid by all the student happened to be 15,50,000. Now understand, if I say every science student pays 1100, and if I have S number of science student, total fee paid by the science student in total become nothing but 1100 into S. Total, let's say, fee paid by all the art student happen to be nothing but 1000 times of A. And total, let's say, amount paid by all the commerce student must be equals to 800 times of C. And together, if I add them up, you will get nothing but total amount paid by all the student, which must be equals to, as per the question, 15,50,000. Now, if you look at this particular equation, we can simply, let's say, divide by 100, and that will reduce to something like 11s plus a 10a plus a 8c, and this would be equals to 11500, so 15,500. Now remember, the objective is to maximize the number of science student, and if you read this particular sentence again properly, the number of science student is not more. So S cannot be more than A, but S can be less than or equals to A. So we have a condition which is very important from that line, S is less than or equals to A. That is the main part. So now, if you look at over here, what we can do is, because we have a condition regarding, let's say, science student and art student, we will, let's say, try to, let's say, eliminate, let's say, C over here. Because if I look at, we have got two equations involving three variable. Let's try to eliminate, let's say, C variable over here. And for that, suppose if I multiply, because if I look at this equation, I will, let's say, try to make the coefficient of C same in both the equations. So let's multiply this equation over here, S plus A plus C as 1500 by 8. That basically will give you 8S plus 8A plus 8C to be equals to 1500 into 8 becomes 12,000. And then if you look at, if I do a subtraction, I will get 3S plus 2A will be equals to a 3,500. Now, as I just now told you that we got this inequality that S is less than or equals to A. So if S is less than or equals to A, and we need to find out the maximum possible number of science student. So again, as I told you, as I want to do it in a conventional manner, what I will do is, let's say we multiply by, let's say, 2a. If I multiply by 2a, so I can say 2s would be less than equals to 2a. Just to get this equation, let's try to add 3s on both sides. If I try to add 3s on both sides, then I will get, this will become 5s less than or equals to 3s plus 2a. And what is known to us over here is that the term 3s plus 2a is known to us as 3,500. So if I now divide by 5, I will get S would be less than or equals to a 700. So we have able to find out our answer that the max number of science student in the school basically would be equals to 700. So S maximum come out to be 700, and that is the answer for this theta question. Now suppose if I look at the smart cut to solve this particular question without forming the equations and so on. So as per this particular sentence, what they are telling you is that the number of science student is not more. So science student would be less than or equal to the number of art student. And if I want to maximize the number of science student, that can be only achieved when S becomes just equals to A. So more the value of A, more the value of S over here. So when you say maximum S will be when S become equals to A. In other words, basically we have to find out the scenario when the number of, let's say, art student and science student basically are same. And I'm going to take the help of the allegation approach. So over here, if you look at, suppose the science student are paying 1100 on an average. The art people are paying 1,000 rupees over here. So if I talk about, suppose science and arts put together, what is the average? Since I told you S is equal to A, if I want to maximize the value of S, that is going to achieve when S become equal to A. In that particular case, what is the average amount paid by, let's say, a science plus art student put together? And the answer would be simple average of, let's say, 1100 and 1000, and that will give you 1050. Whereas, let's say, for the commerce student, the amount paid basically was 800. Now understand, total amount paid was 15,50,000. The number of people total are 1500. So if I simplify this, 5 3s are 3100. So 3100 divide by 3. So this will be 3100 divide by 3, and that you can say is equals to 1033.33. I can apply allegation over here pretty easily. Now, since this number is coming out to be in decimal, if I want to avoid that, let's multiply by 3 every number, so it becomes a nice calculation. So 1050 into 3 will be a 3150. 800 times of 3 will give you 2400. 3100 by 3 into 3 will give you nothing but 3100. And let's now try to apply simple allegation. This difference is coming out to be 50. This difference is coming out to be as 700, because 3100 minus 2400 will give you 700. And if I look at the required ratio, this basically becomes nothing but 14:1. Now understand, total number of people were 1500. And if I say I want to divide them into two groups, where one group basically science and arts put together and one basically is commerce, out of 1500, so out of 15, I can say one of them will be in commerce and 14 are going to be in science and arts together. So out of a 1500, this has to be 100 and this will be 1400. And since I told you that the maximum S is going to be when it become equal to the art student, it has to be equally split as 700 and 700. So my required answer for this particular question becomes 700. The next question basically happens to be on, one can say, geometry, and the sum goes like this. In a triangle ABC, AB equal to AC equals to 12. It simply means the triangle happened to be an isosceles triangle. And D is a point on BC such that the length of AD is equals to 8 centimeter. Then they are saying if AD is extended to a point E such that angle ACB is equals to angle AEB, then find the length in centimeter of AE. So here, first of all, let's make a rough diagram, and the triangle basically happens to be a isosceles triangle. So AB equal to AC, and that simply means angle ABC will be equals to angle ACB. This is 12 and this is 12. Now we have a line segment AD where D is a point on BC, so that AD is equals to 8 over here. Now I don't know whether that is a perpendicular, whatever, I will just draw a normal line. Let's say AD, this is not a perpendicular, maybe, I don't know. AD is a line, D is a point on BC extended to some point E, such that they have told you angle ACB, so this red dot will be equals to angle AEB. So all these three angles basically will become equal. So understand, angle ACB was given to us as angle AEB, and because AB is equals to AC, I can also say this is going to be equals to angle ABC as well. So all the three angles basically are equal over here. Now AB, AC are given, AD value is known to us as 8. So what I will do is I will possibly look for similarity, because ultimately my objective is to find out the length of AE. So AE, if you look at, is part of only one triangle, which is ABE. And if you look at AB and AD involvement, that is going to be a part of ADB triangle. So somewhere I have to think about similarity. And for similarity, we can think about angle-angle test. For example, if I take this as X, angle X over here, angle BAD I have taken as angle X over here. In that particular case, if you look at, angle BAD is common to both of them, and angle ABD is equals to angle AEB. It clearly means with the help of angle-angle test, both the triangles basically are similar. So what do we have? The triangle, if I look at the smaller one, is ABD, becomes similar to, if I look at the bigger triangle involving AEB, it will be angle A and angle A are equal. Angle B in ABD is equal to angle E in angle AEB, so AEB. And if those two triangles basically are similar, then the corresponding ratio of the sides are also going to be equal. So from here I can say it will be AB over AE will be equals to AD over AB. I can say further they will be equals to BD over EB. But understand, since BD is not known, EB is not known, so let's forget about that particular part. We can only concentrate on something which is important for us, and that is the length of AE. So AB is known to us as 12. AE is what I am supposed to calculate. AD is 8. AB is equals to a 12. So now if I just do a simple cross multiplication, so one can say 8 times of AE is equals to 144, 12 into 12. So A will be equals to 144 divided by 8, giving you a 18. So the required length of AE came out to be 18 centimeter. Hence, I can easily choose to mark option number 3 as the answer for this question. In the next sum, it is given that for a 4-digit number greater than 1000, sum of the digit in the thousand, hundreds and tens place is 15. Then they are saying sum of the digit in the hundreds, tens and unit place is 16. Also, the digit in the tens place is 6 more than the digit in the unit place. The difference between the largest and the smallest possible value of the number is how much? So now this is a straightforward problem, and let's say most of you should be able to do it in round number 1. Let's see what needs to be done over here. So we have a 4-digit number, and they are saying, suppose if I take my number as A, B, C and D, in that particular case number is more than 1000, so we can't even take the number 1000 over here because it's more than 1000. So as per the first part, sum of the digit in the thousand, hundreds and tens. So A is at the thousands place, B at hundreds place, C at tens place and D at the unit place. So as per the first equation which I can form is A plus B plus C is equals to 15. Also they are telling you further that sum of the digit in the hundreds, tens and unit place, that means B plus C plus D, is equals to a 16. So from this two equation we can, if I do a subtraction, B and C can be, let's say, eliminated, and we are going to find out that D minus A is equals to 1, and that simply means D is going to be 1 more than the value of A. Now then if you look at, they are telling you few more things, as the digit in the tens place, which is C, is 6 more than the digit in the unit place. So C is equals to a D plus 6. And suppose if I want to, let's say, convert in terms of a, let's say, less the number of variable, I can put D as A plus 1. So if I put D as A plus 1, this part will become A plus 7 over here. Let's rewrite the positions now. So again we are taking the 4-digit number. Thousands place is A. Unit place was D, which you can now say is A plus 1. The tens place, which was C, is equals to A plus 7. And this basically is equals to a simply B. There is no, let's say, problem whatsoever with respect to B at this particular moment. So we can use this equation also. Right now if you look at, this is going to become A plus C. So C is equals to A plus 7 plus B is equals to a 15. So we have 2A plus B is equals to 8. So B is equals to 8 minus 2A. So right now we have everything in terms of a single variable, and we can say this is equals to 8 minus 2A. Now we have to be very careful about the upper limit, let's say, on the value of A and so on. If you look at, suppose each of the digit, the max value each of them can take is 9. So over here if you look at, the term A plus 7 should be less than or equals to a 9. So A has to be less than or equals to 2. So the upper limit on the value of A will be equals to a 2 over here. And the least value of A need to be 1, because the number has to be a 4-digit number more than 1000. So A has to be minimum 1. So understand, we only have two possible scenario where A can be equals to 1 or A can be equals to 2. And if A is equals to 1, I will find out the minimum value. So I will write down the maximum first of all. For A as 2, this part 8 minus 2A will become nothing but 4. A plus 7 will become equals to a 9. A plus 1 become equals to a 3. So max number I get basically is 2, 4, 9 and 3 over here. And how about minimum? If I put A to be equals to 1, that will give you least possible number. The term 8 minus 2A become equal to 6. The term A plus 7 become equals to 8. And the term A plus 1 simply become equals to a 2 over here. So max number is 2493. The lowest possible number is 1682. Understand, there are only two possible number with the given conditions over here. One of them is max, other basically is minimum. And if I look at the difference, because ultimately they want to find out the difference between the max number and the least number. If you do a subtraction, 3 minus 2 is 1, 9 minus 8 is 1, 24 minus 16 happens to be 8. So required difference came out to be 811. Option number 2 is the answer for this question. In the next sum, it is given that teams A, B and C consist of 5, 8 and 10 members respectively, such that every member within a team is equally productive. What does that mean? All the members of team A, which are let's say 5 in numbers, are equally, let's say, productive. That means the rate of work is same. Similarly, let's say one can say the efficiency of all the 8 members in team B are equally efficient. Likewise, let's say all the 10 members of team C also are equally efficient. They have the same efficiency within a group. Working separately, team A, B and C can complete a certain job in 40 hours, 50 hours and let's say 4 hours respectively. Then they are saying 2 members from team A, 3 members from team B and let's say 1 member from team C together start the job, and the member from team C leaves after 23 hours. The number of additional member from team B that would be required to replace the members from team C to finish the job in next 1 hour is how much? So again, a straightforward problem on time in work, and let's say go in a very sequential manner. So first of all, suppose if I assume the efficiency of let's say every member in team A is A, in that particular case, how much work let's say team A can do let's say in 1 hour, and the answer basically would be, because a team A comprised of 5 members, they can contribute, one can say 5A amount of work in 1 hour. So total work, one can say, should be equals to 5A is the amount of work done by all the 5 members of the group in 1 hour, and because they take 40 hours, so 5A into 40. This is total work. If I look from team B perspective, we have 8 members, so the 8 members of the team B will do how much in 1 hour? 8 into B, assuming where B represent the amount of work done by the team member of that team in 1 hour, and they take 50 hours, so 8B into 50. And the same work, if I have let's say members of team C doing it, 10 members are there, so in 1 hour they can do 10C, and team C takes 4 hours, so 10C into 4. So what is happening here? If you look at this part, simply become, one can say, a 200A is equals to 400B and is equals to a 40C. If I want some nice decent values of A, B and C, where A, B, C represent the efficiency of team A, team B and team C members, then I can take a number which is a multiple of 200, 440, and which I can say is equals to let's say 400. I'm assuming total work to be equals to 400. So one can say the efficiency of each member of team A will become 2. The efficiency of each member of team B will become 1, and efficiency of each member of team C become equals to a 10 over here. So now if you look at this question, that we are forming 2 members from team A. So how much let's say they will do in 1 hour? So they will do nothing but 2A. Then 3 members from team B, so they will do 3B, and 1 member from team C. So this was the group which was formed, comprising of 2 members from team A, 3 members from team B and 1 member from team C, and they started the work together, and the member from team C leaves after 23 hours. So first of all, how much work they can do, let's say in 1 hour? So 2A will be 4, 3B will be 3, C will be equals to a 10, so they can do 17 units in an hour. So if they continue to work for 23 hours, this part basically will become equals to a 391. 340 plus 51 become 391. And if you look at now, after this, the team member with the teams, 1 member of team C have left it, and they are supposed to do let's say in another 1 hour. So the 2A plus let's say X number of B, they have to do the task remaining 9. 400 minus 391 basically will be 9, because if you 400 minus this number will give you 9. So I want 9 units to be done in the next 1 hour. Out of that, the 2 people of let's say team A will do 4. So I need to let's say have 5 work to be done from this members of team B. and that basically would mean that you need 5 people. So after, let's say, the member of team C have left, in that particular case, to complete the work in the next 1 hour, you need total of 5, let's say, members who are going to be part of team B, but you already have 3 members. So you need what? Look at the word, number of additional members. So from 3 members of B, I need now 5 members of B. We need additional 2 members of B. So the required answer for this particular question would be option number 4 over here. The next sum happens to be on geometry, which goes like this. ABCD is a trapezium in which AB is parallel to DC, AD is perpendicular to AB, and AB is 3 times of DC. If the circle inscribed in the trapezium touching all the sides has a radius of 3 cm, then area in square centimeter of the trapezium is how much? Not a very straightforward problem. One drawback, the diagram has not been given. What is known to us is the circle inscribed in the trapezium touches all the 4 sides. It simply means the sides are going to be tangent to the circle over here. So with this, let's me draw a, let's say, diagram, rough diagram. So for that, I will first of all try to construct a circle first, and then because 2 of the sides are perpendicular, I will draw it like this. This is how the rough trapezium basically would look like, where these 2 are parallel line and this are going to be perpendicular. They have told you AD is perpendicular to AB. AB and let's say DC are the parallel sides, where AB is 3 times of DC over here. So if you look at over here, this is, suppose if I take DA, so AD is perpendicular to AB. AB is parallel to DC also is perfectly fine, and AB is 3 times of DC also is very, very important. Now this is your center and this is tangential, this also is tangential, and this part one can say simply this is 3 and this is 3 because radius of that circle is given to you as 3 and 3. So understand, if someone asks you what is the distance between the 2 parallel sides, and the simple answer basically would be a 3 plus 3 or simply a 6. So 6 represent, one can say, side of the, let's say, height of the trapezium over here. AB is equals to 3 times of DC. So if I now simply apply the formula of the area of the trapezium, that will be equals to half sum of the parallel side, which you can say is AB plus CD, times the height, which in this case is equals to a 3 over here. So now if you look at AB is equals to 3 DC, so first of all this is going to become 3. AB plus CD part simply become equals to 4 CD, because AB is 3 times of DC. So 4 CD into 3, and that will simply become 12 times of CD. So one thing is very certain, that in this particular case, if the value of CD comes out to be a proper number, I am looking for an answer to be a multiple of 12. If I look at the option closely, if someone have to take leap of faith, they may be tempted to choose option number 2, 48 as the required answer over here. But we don't know whether it's right or wrong, but this is a possible hunch over here. Let us go in a proper sequential manner and let's try to find out the length of AB and CD. If I get the length of CD, as we have found out, the required answer has to be 12 times of CD length. As we know, all the 4 sides basically happen to be tangent. So this is going to be a 3, this length will be 3, this will be 3, this will be 3 over here. Now we can say if this is some number x, and if I drop a perpendicular from C on this, then this part also will become x, because this part, if I call this as some point E right now, then ADC is going to become some sort of a rectangle with one dimension to be 3 plus x and the other to be equal to a 6 over here. Now the length of CE, you can say, is equals to nothing but a 6. What about the length of BC? That is very, very important. So understand this portion, if I call this point as some point F and this is some point G. So right now the length of CG and CF are going to be same, because from an outside point the two tangent are going to be of equal length, I can call this to be also equal to x. Now understand, if your length of AE was equals to 3 plus x and the length of, let's say, AB was coming out to be as 3 times of DC, it simply means the length of BE has to be 2 times of DC, and this portion one can say should be equals to a double of CD, which is 6 plus 2x. Now from the point B, the two tangent dropped are nothing but one can say BF and B, if I call this as H right now. So BF is equals to a BH. So the length of BF, if I want in terms of a single variable, should be equal to a 6 plus 2x plus x, giving you a 6 plus 3x. So now if I concentrate on the triangle, let's say if I look at the triangle CEB, we have got the three sides. The length of CE is equal to 6, the base BE is equal to a 6 plus 2x, and the length BC is equal to a 6 plus 4x. So if I apply Pythagoras theorem, I can say 6 plus 4x whole square minus 6 plus 2x whole square, and this thing should be equal to a 6 square over here. Now I can use a square minus b square property. If I do a subtraction, this will give you 2x here. If I add them up, you get 12 plus 6x here, and this must be equals to a 36. And then if I solve for this further, I can, let's say, open this out. 24x plus 12x square is equals to a 36. If I divide by, let's say, 12 throughout, 2x plus x square is equals to 3. So I got a quadratic in x. X square plus 2x minus 3 is equals to 0. If you solve for this, you will possibly get x plus 3 into x minus 1 equals to 0. Since x happens to be a length, it definitely has to be a positive quantity. So over here x will be equals to 1 or minus 3. This should be discarded. So we got the value of x to be equals to 1, which means the length of CD will come out to be equals to a 4. That's why 12 into 4 will become equals to 48. So now we have a foolproof answer that option number 2 must be the answer over here. Now again, people who, let's say, follow, let's say, proper triplet concept also over here, and if you look at suppose a triangle CEB, the dimension which we got where this was 6, this was 6 plus 2x, and this was 6 plus 4x. It was very clear that with the number 6 as one of the perpendicular side, we only know about one of the possible triplet, which is convenient number like 6, 8 and let's say 10. Definitely this will become 8 for x equals to 1. And this part also become equals to 10, satisfying that 6, 8, 10 criteria. And since we don't have any option, let's say like CBD over here, definitely x equals to 1 must be the solution over here. And that will lead to CD to be equals to 4, AB will become equals to 12, and then again we can use height was equal to 6, apply the area of trapezium formula to find out the required area, which came out to be equals to 48. So option number 2 is the answer here. The next sum happens to be interesting one and an easy one as well. People who understand TSD properly would be able to get this one in a short time. Ankita walks from A to C through B. So understand what is happening initially is Anita was going from A to C through B. We don't know about distance of AB and BC, how much over here. So while going, Anita is walking. So A to B walking, B to C walking. But for the return journey, runs back same route at a speed which is 40% more. So it's very important. Let's understand that. Suppose if I talk about the speed, and if I write here walking and let's say running, the running speed was 40% more. What does that mean? Suppose if I randomly take the speed of, let's say, a walking speed of Ankita to be 100, in that case this running speed must be 40% more than 100, giving you a 140. Now if I just take the ratio, this becomes 5 and 7. If someone asks you what is the ratio of the walking speed and running speed, one can simply say 5:7. Look at the keyword now. C take exactly 3 hours 30 minutes or 3.5 hours to walk from B to C, as well as to run from B to A. So what I will do is, let's say, break them into two parts. One basically would be the distance, one can say A to B portion, and let's say B to C portion. And I will write down the scenario here, walking and let's say running scenario. So what they have told you, let's read this part very carefully. C takes 3 hours 30 minutes to walk from B to C. So B to C distance, if I walk, the time taken is 3.5 hours. As well as to run from B to A. So distance of A to B to cover while running should be nothing but same time, 3.5 hours. Now question says total time in minutes. Look at the keyword. Now they want the answer in minutes. C would have to walk from A to B. So walk from A to B time has to be found out. And run from B to C. Run from B to C. So I want to find this two time and I want to add them up. Now understand, suppose if I look at this particular timeline. Since we know the speed ratio is 5:7, so the time ratio must be 7:5 to cover the same distance. So if I look at the A to B distance, now running time is 3.5 hour, so walking time basically has to be more. So this number must be 3.5 into 7/5, because the walking time has to be more, so I will multiply it by 7/5. Now what about this one? For a distance B to C, which if I take 3.5 hour I will cover, let's say, while walking, the same distance if I want to cover running, I will take less time, because if I know that running speed is 7/5 of walking, so time has to be 5/7 of this. So 3.5 into 5/7. So now if I just try to add them up, so look at this particular part, time to walk from A to B is 3.5 into 7/5. This is going to become 4.9 hours. And time for running to cover B to C distance, or you can say whatever, this will be equals to a 3.5 into 5/7. This will become 2.5 hours. So total time, if you look at, will be 4.9 plus 2.5, giving you 7.4 hours. But since they want the answer to be in terms of minute and it's a theta question, so this will be equals to 7.4 into 60 minutes. So 7 into 60 become 420 and 0.4 into 60 will become 24. So 420 plus 24 giving you a 444 minutes. So a very much doable question. So people who understand ratio and TSD well will not going to find this sum to be extremely challenging here. The next sum happens to be a straightforward one on geometry, and the sum goes like this. A triangle ABC is formed with AB equal to AC equal to 50 centimeter and BC is equal to 80 centimeter. So a clear-cut case of, one can say, a isosceles triangle. So I will again construct it. AB equal to AC, 50, 50 and BC is equals to 80. The question says the sum of the length in centimeter of all the three altitude of the triangle ABC. So understand, in this particular context, the altitude drop from C on AB and let's say B on AC are both going to be of same length. So I will find one of them and that will be sufficient. And understand, since the vertex A contains the two equal sides, the perpendicular or the altitude drop from A on BC is going to bisect this. So suppose if I call this as some length E at the moment, so because AB and AC are equal, these two angles are equal, and this doesn't look like, I should make a better diagram. So these two are equal, and that means E is the midpoint of BC, so EC is 40. So if I use triplet, if I use Pythagoras theorem, the length of AE will simply come out to be a 30, because people know 3, 4, 5. So 30, 40, 50 right angle triangle will satisfy this. Or AE square will be equals to 50 square minus 40 square, 2500 minus 1600 giving 900. So AE become equal to 30. So one of the altitude become nothing but equals to a 30. Now, how to find out the other altitude? So understand this is the triangle, let's say A, B, C. This is 50, 50, and this basically was equals to 80. Now, as I told that this time from the point B or from the point C, if I drop the perpendicular, it won't bisect the opposite side. Suppose this is the height which I'm looking for, which I'm calling it as x right now. Now we can simply use, if I look at this first figure over here and someone asks you, how do you find out the area of the triangle? And the simple formula known to all of us is half base into height. So for the first figure, your base is BC and the height is AE. In the second figure, your base can be taken as AC and the height which I want now is equals to x. If you simplify this, BC is equals to 80, AE is equals to 30, AC half and half basically got cancelled out, so AC is equals to 50, and if I cancel this 5 times 16, the value of x become equals to a 48. So the altitude drop from B came out to be a 48. Likewise, the altitude drop from C is also going to come out to be the number 48 over here. And hence, the sum of the length in centimeter of all the three altitudes, so one basically is 30 and the other two are 48 each. If you add the total, 48 plus 48 become a 96 plus 30 giving you 126 centimeter. Hence, 126 will be the answer for this theta question. If I look at the next sum over here, it says that for real values of x, the range of the function f of x equal to 2x minus 3 whole divided by 2x square plus 4x minus 6. Now this particular sum you can solve it in multiple manner. People who are engineer, they may want to use the fancy calculus thing over here, derivatives, but I will avoid derivative in this particular case. I will look at the normal standard conventional method and then a simple jugaad or a layman approach to solve this particular question. So since in this particular case, I will take the function to be y is equals to 2x minus 3 divided by 2x square plus 4x minus 6. And then I'm going to cross multiply and I will try to form a quadratic in, let's say, x square. So you will get 2x square y plus 4xy minus 6y is equals to a 2x minus 3. If I bring everything on the left hand side, you are going to get 2x square y. I will take plus 2x common, you will get 2y minus 1, and I will get minus 3 common, you will get 2y minus 1 equals to 0. So we have got a quadratic in x square and the task is to find out the range of the values of y. Understand, since this is a quadratic in x and it says it has to be for real values of x, definitely delta has to be more than or equals to 0. So in this particular case, your delta need to be more than equal to 0 for this quadratic, where you can say a is nothing but 2y. The term b, which is coefficient of x, is 2 times of 2y minus 1, and the constant term happens to be minus 3 times of 2y minus 1. So delta should be more than equal to 0 is my required condition for x to be real. So now you will get b square term will be 2 times of 2y minus 1 whole square minus 4 into a is 2y. The term c is minus of this, I will just put a plus here. So again, this is going to become 4 times of this number. I can divide by 4. If I divide by 4, this part basically can be cancelled pretty easily. And understand, from both the side I can take 2y minus 1 common. If I take 2y minus 1 common, because that is a common factor, you will get 2y minus 1, and here you will be getting nothing but 6y more than equal to 0. So one get 2y minus 1 times of 8y minus 1 more than equal to 0. So once we got the two factors, and this will become very, very straightforward now, we can say that what value of y will make it equal to 0. So the critical point over here basically would be 1 will be for y equal to half and 1 basically will be for 1 by 8. So we got 1 by 8 to be the lower one and 1 by 2 to be the higher one. Now we want the product to be more than equal to 0, a simple positive number. For y equal to, let's say, 1 by 8 and 1 by 2 expression become equal to 0. If you put the value of y to be above 1 by 2, both the factors are going to become positive. So we get positive on the right of 1 by 2. Likewise, if I say you put anything between 1 by 8 and let's say 1 by 2, you will find one of them to be positive, other to be negative. So if you put anything between 1 by 8 and 1 by 2, this would be negative, this would be positive, and the result becomes negative. And if I put any value of y which is less than 1 by 8, both the factors become negative. If you multiply two negative numbers, the outcome becomes positive. Now, since you wanted more than equal to 0, we are able to get the required region to be half or more, or you can say 1 by 8 or less. So one can say x has to be more than equals to 1 by 2, not x, sorry, this has to be y has to be more than equals to 1 by 2, or y has to be less than equals to a 1 by 8. If I want to write them in the other format, if you look at the option, it has to be 1 by 2 has to be included up to infinity, not including infinity, and on the higher side on this you have 1 by 8, negative infinity to 1 by 8. If you look at the options over here, one can say the required answer definitely has to be option number 3. And that is the answer for this particular question. Let's see a smart cut, or one can say jugaad method to solve this particular question. Here the objective was to find out the range of the function. So as I told you, if I say y is equals to 2x minus 3 divided by 2x square plus a 4x minus 6. If I look at the options, two of the options are saying the value of y need to be half or above. Two of them are saying 1 or more. Now understand, definitely 1 or more basically will be part of each of the 4 options. So what I want to do is I want to check whether y equals to half is a valid point or not, which will going to make this x a real number. So I will just simply put y to be equals to half, and I will check whether for y equal to half is the value of x coming out to be real or not. If it comes out to be real, I can say option number 1 and 4 will be out. I will choose between 2 and 3. In case for, so I will check that, I will put 1 by 2 as 2x minus 3 divided by 2x square plus 4x minus 6. Let's cross multiply. So 2x square plus 4x minus 6 is equals to a 4x minus 6. I get x to be equals to 0, which is perfectly fine. If you see, if you put x equal to 0, the expression simply become minus 3 by minus 6, which is definitely equals to a 1 by 2. So 1 by 2 definitely is one of the possible value which is coming out to be true in option number 2 and 3, and hence option number 1 and 4 are going to be out. Now on the lower side they are saying the value goes to 1 by 8 and it goes to a 1 by 4. Now 1 by 4 is 1 by 8 basically is going to be counted in both the numbers. So I will now going to check whether 1 by 4 is going to be acceptable value or not. If I put y as 1 by 4, so 1 by 4 is equals to 2x minus 3 divided by 2x square plus 4x minus 6. Let's cross multiply. 2x square plus 4x minus 6 is equals to 8x minus 12. 2x square minus 4x plus 6 equals to 0. I can, let's say, simplify this by dividing it by 2. X square minus 2x plus 3 equals to 0. And now if I check, suppose for this, the delta will be equals to minus 2 square minus 4 into 1 into 3. This is 4 minus 12 giving you a negative 8. That means if I want the value of y to be equals to a 1 by 4, in that case the value of x will come out to be imaginary. And what does that mean? It can't be equals to a 1 by 4. Hence option number 2 will be out, and one can choose to mark option number 3 here. The next sum happens to be a straightforward one. If I read the sum, it given you 12 power 12x into 4 raised to 12x plus 12 times 5 power 2y is equals to 8 power 4z into 20 power 12x into 243 power 3x minus 6, where x, y, z are natural number. They are positive integers. Objective is to find out the value of x plus y plus z. So one thing, if you observe both the left hand side and RHS part, the number 12 I can write as some powers of 2 and powers of 3. 4 is 2 square. 5 is 5. So the left hand side contains 2, 3 and 5 as, let's say, prime factors. 8, 2 cube. 20 comprise of 2 and, let's say, 5 as a prime factor. 2 square into 5 is 20. The number 243 is 3 power 5. So what I will do is both left hand side and right hand side, if I look at the approach over here, I should try to write down everything in terms of powers of 2, powers of 3, powers of 5, and then I can try to equate both sides. So over here, if I do this, the number 12, first of all, is 2 square into 3. The number 4 is 2 square. And then we can use a simple law of indices. Eight is 2 cube. 20, as I told you, is 2 square into 5. And 343 is 3 power 5. Let's now simplify. So the term, this part will become, if I know this property, a raised to m whole raised to n, it simply will be a power m times n. I will use this property very often here. Even if you have a into b whole raised to n, this will be a power n into b power n. This too I will use multiple times. And apart from when you multiply, suppose number with the like basis, power simply get added. This will be 2 raised to 2 times of 12x, 24x. 3 power 12x. The next term, 2 power. This will be doubled. So you get 48x plus 24. 5 power 2y. Over here the power will get tripled. So 2 power 12z. 2 power 24x. 5 power 12x. And 3 power, the power will be getting 5 times over here. So it will be 15x minus 30. And now we can do further simplification. This 2 term has, let's say, base as 2. So if I look at this, this will become 72x plus 24. 3 power 12x. 5 power 2y. Here if I look at, this will be clubbed. 2 power 12z plus 24x. 5 power 12x and 3 power 15x minus 30. So now it's time to, let's say, do a comparison, because x, y, z are going to be positive integers. So in this particular context, suppose if I do a comparison, let's say if I look at the powers of 5, then I can say 2y equals to 12x, and that basically will give you y to be equal to 6x is one thing which I got. Then suppose if I compare the powers of 3, if I compare the power of 3, it contains only thing in terms of x, so I can find out the value of x uniquely. So I can say the 12x should be equal to 15x minus 30. This will give you 3x equals to 30, x become equals to 10. So we found the value of x becoming equals to 10, or the value of y become equal to 60. And lastly, if I do a comparison of the powers of 2, which is this, so 72x plus 24 is equals to 12z plus 24x. Let's bring the 24x on the left hand side. 1 get 48x plus 24 is 12z. Divide by 12. 4x plus 2 is equal to z. And if you put, suppose z to be x to be equals to 10, this part simply become 42. So we got the value of z to be equals to a 42, y to be equals to a 60, x to be equals to a 10. So the question says find out the value of x plus y plus z. So 10 plus 60 plus 42, the required sum become equals to 112, and that is the answer for this simple question. If I look at the next sum, it says that the average salary of 5 managers and 8 engineers in a company happened to be 60,000 rupees. If each of the manager received 20% salary increase while the salary of engineers remained unchanged, the average salary of all 30 employees would have increased by 5%. The average salary in rupee of the engineer is how much? So in this particular context, what we can do is look at the longer method first. Suppose if I say each manager has a salary of M on an average, and for engineer the number basically is equals to a E. So the total amount received by the manager must be nothing but 5 into M. Total amount received by all the engineers will be nothing but 25 times of E. And because the average is equals to 60,000 and the number of people basically are, one can say over here 30, this part basically would be nothing but equals to a 60,000 into 30 giving you 18 lakhs. So we got our, let's say, one equation in this particular case. Now what they have told you, if each of the manager received as 20% salary increase. So we have 5 people now and the salary of each of them will now going to become increase of 20% from M become 1.2 M. While the salary of the engineer remain the same, so they will still receive E per person and we have 25 of them, to 25 into E. And this time it's going to be an increase of 5% for all the 30 employee. Understand, for the number 18 lakh, if I want to look at the increase of let's say a 5%, 10% basically would mean, one can say 1,80,000, and you can say in this particular context the 5% would mean 90,000. So it will become 18,90,000. Now 5 into 1.2 M simply becomes 6 M. So if I subtract, you are going to find out that the value of M become equals to a 90,000. So on an average, manager get basically, one can say a 90,000. And then we can simply put it, let's say, in any of the equation. For example, over here, if you look at 5 manager basically will receive how much? One can say 4,50,000 plus 25E will be 18,000, 18 lakhs. So 25 engineers will receive, one can say 13,50,000. So if you divide this, one basically will get, so first of all 25 into 4, and this thing will come out to be 54,000. So you will get 100E equals to 540,000,000. 2 zeros can be cancelled out. So the required average value of the salary of the engineer came out to be 54,000. Hence option number 3 is the required answer for this question. If I look at the better way to solve this particular question, then what we can do is, if I look at the numbers closely for manager and the engineer, which are 5 and 25, we will write this, both are cancelled by 5. So I will take 1 manager, 5 engineer, then this part basically will become total of 6 employees. And my focus is primarily going to be on the increase. So here the increase is only, let's say, for the manager, and only 1 manager is there, and an increase of, one can say 20%. It simply means 0.2 times of the salary of each manager. And this increase will be of what? If I look at the average, that become 60,000. So increase of 5% basically would be nothing but a 3,000 for one person. The office comprised of, one can say 6 employees, so it has to be an increase of 3,000 into 6. So 0.2 times of M become 18,000. So M must be equals to 18,000 times of 5, because 0.2 means 1 by 5. That basically will give you nothing but 90,000. So now we can again take the help of allegations also if you wish to. So for the manager, it came out to be 90,000. For engineers, we don't know what is the average salary. Together, they have a salary of, one can say 60,000. on average. And if I look at the ratio, 1 manager, 5 engineers. This is 30,000. If 5 part mean 30,000, 1 part basically would mean 6,000. So this number must be 6,000 less than 60,000, giving you a 54,000. Hence, option number 3 is the answer for this question. The next sum happens to be on TSD, and an interesting sum also over here. Rahul starts on his journey at 5 p.m. at a constant speed so that he reaches his destination at 11 p.m. the same day. That means as per the planned journey, he was supposed to complete the distance in, let's say, 6-hour time frame. From 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. same day means a 6-hour time frame. However, on his way, he stops for 20 minutes. And after that, he increases his speed by 3 km/h to reach on time. If he had stopped for 10 minutes more, that means he must have halted for 30 minutes in total, he would have to increase his speed by 5 km/h to reach on time. His initial speed in km/h was how much? So again, what I will do is, let's take some variable to solve this. So suppose if I assume that his planned constant speed was x km/h, which he wished to complete in 6 hours. So I will equate this distance. So if I just draw it, so in the case number 1, he was supposed to cover the distance with x km/h, and time taken basically was 6 hours. In the second case, what has happened? You can say he has traveled, let's say, at the speed of x km/h for a certain time t. Then he took a break, one can say over here, of 20 minutes. And again, he was reaching on time. That means total time, including stoppage, must be of 6 hours. Now, after this break, he has, let's say, increased his speed by 3 km/h. So now the speed becomes x plus 3 km/h, x plus 3 km/h is a new speed, and now total time for which he traveled x plus 3 speed will be, one can say, 5 hours 40 minutes minus t. And in the last case, again he has reached on time, but this time he again has traveled at this speed for a time, let's say, of t hours. Then he took a break of 30 minutes because he took 10 minutes more break. And because of this, his new speed now will be x plus 5 km/h. This time his total, let's say, movement of time must be of 6 hours minus 0.5 or 5.5 hours, out of which t was traveled at x km/h. So 5.5 minus t was traveled at, one can say, x plus 5 km/h. In all the case, one thing is constant, and that basically is distance. So I will go into frame the distance comparison, speed into time. So it must be 6x here in case number 1. In case number 2, it will be x into t plus x plus 3 into 5 2 by 3 will simply translate to a 17 by 3 minus t. And the same thing will be equals to x into t in the third case plus x plus 5 was your speed, and the time in this particular case was 11 by 2 minus t. So let's take the first and the second one, and let's try to frame equations involving x and t, and then we can find out the answer. So we will get 6x. If I take the first two, xt plus 17x by 3 minus xt plus 17 minus 3t. Over here, xt will get cancelled out. If I bring things on one side, you are going to get 6x minus 17x by 3 is x by 3, and this plus 3t is equal to 17, my first equation. Let's write down by taking the first case and the third case. So again, 6x would be equals to xt plus 11x by 2 minus xt plus 55 by 2 minus a 5t. Again, the xt term will get cancelled out, and one will get 6x minus 11x by 2 will give you x by 2 plus a 5t is equals to 55 by 2. So we have got two equations, two variable, and now we can easily find out the value of both x and t. If you look at here, the objective is to find out the value of x. So maybe I can just try to eliminate t from here. Let's multiply the first equation by 5 so that we get 15 as a coefficient of t. So 5x by 3 plus 15t is equals to 85. In the second one, multiplied by 3, so one get 3x by 2 plus 15t is equals to 165 by 2. And then if I do a subtraction, so 5x by 3 minus 3x by 2, and this basically will give you x by 6 is equals to 170 minus 165 will give you 5 by 2. And this will give you x to be equals to 6 into 2.5, giving you a 15 kmph. So the required value of x, the initial speed came out to be 15 kmph. You can, let's say, put x as 15 and you can find out the value of t also from here. So t will come out to be equals to a 4 is what you will check, but x will come out to be 15. So option number 2 is the required answer. If you look at the previous period, it becomes slightly messy. Let's see a slightly better way. So let's try to understand the sum properly. What has happened, if you look at the impact closely, that there was a wastage of 20 minutes. If I ask you what distance he could have traveled in those 20 minutes with the normal speed of, let's say, x, and the answer basically would be nothing but x into 20 minutes translate to 1/3 of an hour. Now to compensate for this distance, he has, let's say, increased the speed by 3 kmph. And he is traveling with this extra speed of 3 kmph for the remaining time. Understand the time, total time, let's say, to travel in this particular case was 5 hours 40 minutes. 5 2 by 3 hours, which you can say is nothing but equals to 17 by 3 hours. And out of that, t was traveled at, let's say, the initial x speed over here. So he has traveled, let's say, for the remaining journey 17 by 3 minus t time for the extra speed of, one can say, 3. In the third scenario, there was a break of total of 30 minutes, extra 10 minutes. So what distance he could have traveled with the normal speed? X into 30 minutes means so x into 1 by 2. And to compensate for this, this time his increased speed was 5. And this time the total traveling time was 5.5 hours, out of which t was traveled at, let's say, a normal x, and 5.5 minus t was traveled at the increased speed. So 11 by 2 minus t. If you look at from here, this becomes very, very straightforward, and this is going to make your life much, much straightforward. So from here, suppose if I cross multiply, you can get the value of x to be equals to 9 times of this number will become, I think, 51 minus 90. From here, x will become equals to, if you cross multiply, 10 times of this number will give you 55 minus 10t. And then if I equate both of them, 51 minus 90 is equals to 55 minus 10t. So t will be equals to 4. And if t become equals to 4, if you put it anywhere, this part will become 55 minus 40, giving you 15. Hence 15 is the answer for this particular question. The next sum happens to be on ratio, and the sum goes like this. Again, interesting question. The ratio of the number of coin in box A and box B was 17:7. After 108 coin were shifted from box A to box B, the ratio become 37:20. The number of coins that needs to be shifted further, this part was very, very important. I have seen people making mistakes in this particular question because they have not, let's say, given the due importance to the word over here, which is further. From A to B, to make this ratio 1:1. Now the most important thing in this particular case is that what has not changed, because the transfer was happening, let's say, from box A to box B, it's a simple case of total remaining constant. So if I look at the initial ratio, if I write down here box A and box B, the initial ratio was 17:7. So the total, if you can see, is 17 plus 7 becomes 24 parts. After you transferred 108 coin from box A to box B, the count of the number of coin will decrease in box A, will increase by the same quantity in, let's say, box B, and that lead to the ratio becoming 37:20. And total over here become 57 parts. Now understand, both these things are equal. So if you look at 24 is 8 into 3, 57 is 19 times of 3. So as I told you, total has never changed. So I first of all want to make these two numbers identical. So if you look at, I want a same number at both the place, which has to be divisible by 24 and also by 57. It has to be a common multiple of, let's say, 24 and 57. And that will be 24 into, one can say, 19. So 24 into 19 in this particular case will be nothing but a 240 plus a 216, giving you a 456. This part will become 456. So if I want a 456 at both the places, then the first one need to be multiplied throughout by 19 and the second one basically by 8. So let's write them properly. This part will become 17 times of 19 is going to be 323. 323. 7 times of 19 will become 133. 24 times of 19 will become 456. 37 times of 8, so you will get 280 plus 56, 296. And this part will simply going to become 160. So now things become slightly easier and we can simply go it like this. We can take them as x over here to make our life simple. Other people who are comfortable doing it parts, they can also deal in parts also over here. If you see the increase in the coin of box B from 133 to 160, it's an increase of 27x. And that is known to us as the number 108. So 27x is 108. X would be equals to, one can say, 4 over here. I will use this information later on, because ultimately what they are saying is afterward, again you have to do further transfer. You have to do a further transfer. So it has to be, ratio has to be 1:1. If you want a 1:1, so this part, if I, let's say, divide by 2, this will come out to be equals to, one can say, a 228. This has to be 228x. 228x becoming 456x. So for this, there has to be a further increase of 68x here and a further reduction of 68x here. So please note, here they are saying the number of coins that need to be shifted further from A. So from here to here, we are going to decrease the number of coin in box A by 68x. And you can see that will lead to an increase of 68x coin in, let's say, box B. So task here is to find out the value of 68x. And not, one can say, 27 plus this part will become 95x. Task is to find out the further change required from box A to box B so that the ratio become 1:1. This is a requirement, additional requirement. And if you put x as 4, 68 times of 4, 240 plus 32, leading to a 272 as the answer. This is the answer for this question. The next sum happens to be a challenging one, and I think that many of you will struggle to solve this particular question. Even the best of the student is not going to solve this particular question under the exam condition. Let us look at this one. It's given that let P, Q and R be three natural number, positive integer, such that their sum is 900. So what is known to us is P plus Q plus R is equals to 900, where R happens to be a perfect square whose value lie between 150 and, let's say, 500. So what is known about the value of R? R is a perfect square which is between 150 and, let's say, 500. The smallest possible value of R, so R is a perfect square. which you can say over here will be 169, 13 square. So the possible value of r can be a 13 square, 14 square. Largest perfect square less than 500 happens to be 484, which is 22 square. So all the way up to 22 square. What else is given? If p is not less than 0.3q, which means the minimum value of p has to be 0.3q, and not more than 0.7q, the max value of, let's say, p will be 0.7q, then sum of the maximum and minimum possible value of p is how much? A very tricky question. Even theta, it's very difficult to solve it over here. So what they have told you, p is not less than 0.3q, that simply means p will be more than equals to 0.3q, and also told you p will be not more than 0.7q, so maximum p will be equal to 70% of basically q over here. Now understand, if you want the max value of p, so it has to be p will be less than or equals to 0.q. If someone asks you what will be the maximum value of p, and the answer would be, it will be 0.7 times of q. And what can one say about the minimum possible value of p, because ultimately I have to find out the min value of p and the max value of p, and we want to add them up. The minimum value of p basically would be 0.3 times of q. Now understand, if max value of p will be 0.7q, and if you want to maximize the value of p, that means q also need to be maximum in this case. And if you want to find out the lowest possible value of p, and which is going to be equals to 0.3q, this will be achieved if q will be minimum. So understand, q minimum will give you 0.3q as the minimum value of p. Largest value of q and 0.7 times of that number will give you largest possible value of, let's say, p over here. Now ultimately we can find out q, and then we can find out the value of p from here, whatever we want to work. Understand, minimum p, minimum q means p plus q becomes minimum. So if this part becomes minimum, if I want that scenario, then r need to be maximum. So understand, I will find out that p plus q will be equals to a 900 minus r. And as I told you, if I look at the first scenario to find out the minimum value of p, which means I have to find out the minimum value of q, for which p plus q will become minimum. So if you want p plus q to become minimum, in that particular case, the term 900 minus r has to be minimum, which means r has to be maximum. So let's explore this particular scenario. As I told you, to find out the least value of p, which has to be equals to 0.3 times of q, you will get 0.3q plus a q, and that must be equals to, you have to find out take the max value of r. R has to be a perfect square less than 500. So it must be 900 minus 484. And that will give you, one can say, 1.3q to be equals, this part will become 416. 13 3s are 39, 26, 2 times. So the smallest value of q will become equals to a 320. And that means if I look at the value of p minimum, which has to be 30% of this number, so 0.3 times of 320 giving you a 96. So we got the lowest value of p as 96. Then similarly, if you look at, if I wanted p plus q to be maximum, because if p is maximum, q has to be maximum, that means p plus q will become maximum. For that, r should be minimum. And again, r has to be a perfect square, which is going to be more than 150. Smallest value of r I can take is 169. So 900 minus 169. And the max value of p is 0.7q. So 0.7q plus q will be equals to 900 minus 169. This will give you 1.7q as a 731. 1.7 is 17 by 10. 17 4s are 68. 51. 17 3s are is 51. So q maximum will become 130. So p maximum must be 70% of that number, so 0.7 times of 430, and that will give you 7 by 10 of 430. 43 into 7 becomes 280 plus 21, giving you 301. So as you can see, max value of P came out to be 301, least value of P came out to be a 96, and hence the minimum possible value of, let's say, P and max value of P total, the sum. So P minimum is 96, P maximum came out to be 301, the required total came out to be a 397. Hence 397 is the required answer for this particular question.